Hundreds of years after the event known as the Cataclysm rocked the world and shook it to its foundational core, after the ash and flames had died and its carcass fertilized the soil, a certain beast rose from the aftermath and went on to conquer and dominate the new world that came about. Humanity. They were a creature unprecedented, and they quickly rose to power, subjugating the world to fit its needs and wants. Beginning as small tribes and distant communities, to settlements and kingdoms, the humans would go on to craft whole civilizations under their rule. They would spread across the lands like a consuming plague, building and constructing monuments in any land they deemed fit. Humanity would venture and settle valleys, deserts, mountains, and even the poisonous marshlands. Humanity's future was bright, and its culture flourished. However, those who inhabited the quagmire began discovering something so profound that it would change and twist the people of the swamp to something horrific. They discovered giant and ancient scales scattered in the mud and puddles, scales that were titanic in size and dwarf any man or woman that stood next to them. People quickly realized that the reptilian skin was not from anything they had witnessed in the marshes or wilds before, and speculation of where and what the monstrous creature was ran rampant in their minds. Soon, fear coiled itself around the throat of the people and pulled itself tight with the imagery of such a beast. The leaders of the lands, wary and concerned at their people's newfound paranoia, sought to crush and kill the beast that mentally terrorized the masses. So they gathered their wealth and threw their coins at hired warriors from the small but rising kingdom of Crimson, and sent them on an expedition into the marshes to slay the giant beast. "200 warriors ventured into the acidic swamps with their general, a proud and feared Blood Knight. Their trail was laid out for them by frantic reports and whispers of the creature. However, they were unreliable at best. But the expedition, despite all its clouded guidance, marched on nevertheless in search of the beast for coin. They marched through the hellish heat and moist air, through the drenching mud and spitting pools, and soon came across a large cave with a mountain of scales lining the walls. The sanguine general halted his troops and gazed into the dark, ordering his soldiers to advance into the rocky moors. He believed he had found the den of evil. The small army trudged into the cave and wandered into the fearsome darkness, blinded by all senses due to a thick miasma in the air. They wandered for hours in the natural labyrinth, going further and further into the void and exploring each and every chamber. The atmosphere was so bleak and disturbing that the soldiers for hire believed that nothing could exist inside the hostile environment, and almost revolted. It was only with a flash of blood lightning from the general and the promise of riches that order was restored, and the troops continued on. They did not have to suffer for much longer, however, for in the final chamber, deep beneath the earth and far from sunlight, they found something moving. They found, slumbering deeply in the dark, a giant and ancient snake. The general was ecstatic at the sight of the beast, and rallied his soldiers to ready their blades and prepare to sink them deep into the heart of the serpent. Without a moment to think, the Blood Knight struck the primordial creature with their blade and thrusted it deep into the scales. Little did they know, however, that in that moment they had awakened the scourge of the living. Fighting commenced as the men and women of the expedition fought for their lives. Blood splattered and spilled all over the walls of the cave, with the serpent consuming whole regiments into its venomous gut. The Blood Knight, who had started the fight, was killed when his flesh was punctured by 2 colossal fangs. The primordial serpent claimed the lives of 170 soldiers, consuming each and every one of them into their jaws. It was carnage, and the scourge of the living had tasted flesh for the first time since thousands of years. The last remaining remnants were mortified and froze with terror, seeing their fallen comrades scattered in the cave. The primordial serpent turned to face the 30 soldiers left as the remnants of the expedition. The men and women were paralyzed in their muscles as the mighty snake looked into their eyes and gazed upon humanity for the first time. The serpent knew that they were weak and frail, but then noticed that they held something in them that they had never seen before. They were not mindless like the other creatures in the ancient lands. They possessed some intelligence that they had never seen before. It dawned on the serpent that they could use humanity for their own ends, and believed that they could reign over the New World just as they did before. They just needed to consume more, thousands if not millions more, to gain strength again. That was when the serpent brokered the humans a deal of servitude for their lives.